Yeah, so I'm here with LL, and we are going to sort of do a combination of read and summarize the Grimm brothers' tale, The Fisherman and His Wife. Um, so there was once upon a time a fisherman who lived with his wife in a miserable pigsty close by the sea, and every day he went out fishing. And once, as he was sitting with his rod looking at the clear water, his line suddenly went down, far down below, and when he drew it up again, he brought out a large flounder. Then the flounder said to him, "Listen, you fisherman, I pray you, let me live. I am no flounder really, but an enchanted prince. What good will it do you to kill me? I should not be good to eat. Put me in the water again, and let me go." "Come," said the fisherman, "there is no need for so many words about it. A fish that can talk I should certainly let go anyhow." With that, he put him back into the clear water, and the flounder went to the bottom, leaving a long streak of blood behind him. Then the fisherman got up and went home to his wife in the pigsty. So the wife asks him if he's caught anything. He says, "Well, no. Well, then again, I did catch a flounder who was an enchanted prince, so I let him go again." "And did you not wish for anything first?" said the woman. "No," said the man. "What should I wish for?" And she said, "Surely it's hard to live as we do. Why don't you ask him for a small cottage for us? Go back. He'll certainly give us that." And the woman says, "You did catch him and you let him go again. He is sure to do it. Go at once." And so the man goes back, and the sea was all green and yellow and no longer so smooth. And then he says this ditty that he says several times in this story whenever he goes back to the flounder. "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, I pray you, here to me. For my wife, good Isabel, has sent me here against my will." Then the flounder came swimming up to him and said, "Well, what does she want then?" "Ah," said the man, "I did catch you, and my wife says I really ought to have wished for something. She does not like to live in a wretched pigsty." He asked for the cottage. The flounder says, "Go to it. She has it already." So when the man went home, his wife was no longer in the pigsty, but instead was sitting on a bench in front of a small cottage. And she took him by the hand and said, "Just come look inside. Now, isn't this a great deal better?" So they went in. There was a small porch and a pretty little parlor and a bedroom, a kitchen and pantry with the best of furniture and fitted up with the most beautiful things made of tin and brass. They had a small yard with hens and ducks, a little garden with flowers and fruit. "Look," said the wife, "is not that nice?" "Yes," said the husband, "and so we must always think on it. Now we will live quite contented." "We will think about that," said the wife. And with that, they ate something and went to bed. And so a week or a fortnight, 2 weeks passes. The woman says, "Listen, husband, this cottage is too small for us. I should like to live in a great stone castle. Go to the flounder." "Ah," says the man, "the cottage is quite enough. Why should we live in a castle?" "What?" said the woman. "Just go there. The flounder can always do that." So she doesn't really try to say that the flounder, owes you his life again. It's just go. We can get that. And the wife says, "No, it might make him angry." "Go," said the woman. "He can do it quite easily." The man's heart grew heavy. It is not right, he thinks, and yet he went. Now, when he went the sea, the water was quite purple and dark blue, and gray and thick, and no longer so green and yellow, but it was still quiet. And he stood there, he said his ditty, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, I pray you, here to me, for my wife, good Isabel, has sent me here against my will." "Well, what does she want then?" said the flounder. The man's half scared, asked for a great stone castle. Go to her. She is standing before the door." Then the man went away, intending to go home, but when he got there, he found a great stone palace, and his wife was just standing on the steps going in, and she took him by the hand and said, "Come in." So he went in with her, and the castle was a great hall paved with marble, many servants who flung the doors wide, and the walls were all bright with beautiful hangings, and in the rooms were chairs and tables of pure gold, crystal chandeliers, and all the rooms and bedrooms had carpets, and the tables were laden with food and wine. They had a courtyard, stables for horses and cows, all the trimmings. Come, said the woman, isn't this beautiful? Yes, indeed, said the man. Now let it be, and we will live in this beautiful castle and be content. We will consider about that, said the woman, and sleep upon it. So next morning she awoke first. It was just daybreak, and from her bed she saw the beautiful country lying before her, and she was not content with it. Get up, husband, just peep out the window. Look, couldn't we be king over all the land? Look, go to the flounder, we will be the king. So she's always not looking on the being of things, but always looking at things to have, to own, to control. Why should we be king? I do not want to be king. Well, if you won't be king, I will be king, said the wife. Go to the flounder. Ah, wife, why do you want to be king? So he goes to the flounder, and now the water's quite dark gray, heaving up from below, smelling putrid. And he does his ditty, flounder, flounder by the sea. My good wife has sent me here against my will. Well, what does she want then? She wants to be king. Go to her. She is king already. So now they have a palace, great tower, magnificent ornaments, sentinel, kettle drums, trumpets. Everything was made of real marble and gold with velvet covers and great golden tassels. His wife was sitting on a high throne of gold and diamonds with a great crown of gold on her head and a scepter of pure gold and jewels in her hand. And on both sides of her stood her maids in waiting in a row, each of them always one head shorter than the last. Then he went and stood before her and said, Ah, wife, now you are king. Yes, now I am king. Now we should wish for nothing more, said he. Nay, husband, said the woman quite anxiously. You see the change in her. I find time passes very heavily. I can bear it no longer. So, as she gets into the realm of the political, she's anxious and she can bear it no longer. She's getting up earlier and earlier and sleeping less and less. Now she wants to be emperor. Ah, wife, why do you wish to be emperor? Husband, said she, go to the flounder. I will be emperor. No reason. Alas, wife, said the man, he cannot make you emperor. I assure you he cannot. What, said the woman, I am the king, and you are nothing but my husband. Now she's putting him down, comparing things. Will you go this moment? Go at once. If he can make a king, he can make an emperor. I will be emperor. Go instantly. So he was forced to go. As he went, he was troubled in his mind. It will not be end well. The flounder will at last be tired out. With that he reached the sea, and the sea was quite black and thick, and began to boil up from below, so that it threw up bubbles. And such a sharp wind blew over it that it curdled, and the man was afraid. Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, I pray you, here to me, for my wife, good Isabel, has sent me here against my will. What does she want? Wants to be emperor. Go to her, said the flounder. She is emperor already. So the man went, and when he got there, the whole palace was made of polished marble with alabaster figures and golden ornaments, and soldiers were marching before the door, blowing trumpets and beating cymbals and drums. And in the house, barons and counts and dukes were going about as servants. Then they opened the doors to him, which were made of pure gold. And when he entered, there sat his wife on a throne, which was made of one piece of gold, and and at least 2 miles high, and she wore a great golden crown that was 3 yards high and set with diamonds and carbuncles. And in one hand she had the scepter, and in the other the imperial orb. And on both sides of her stood the yeomen of the guard in 2 rows, each being smaller than the one before him, from the biggest giant, who was 2 miles high, to the very smallest dwarf, just as big as my little finger. And before it stood a number of princes and dukes. And the man went and stood among them and said, Wife, are you emperor now? Yes, quoth she, now I am emperor. Then he stood and looked at her well, and when he had looked at her for some time, he said, Ah, wife, be content. You are emperor. Husband, said she, why are you standing there? Now I am emperor, but I will be pope too. Go to the flounder. Alas, there is but one Christendom. He cannot make you pope. Husband, said she, I will be pope. Go immediately. I must be pope this very day. No, wife, said the man. The flounder can't make you pope. Husband, said she, what nonsense. If he can make an emperor, he can make a pope. Go to him directly. I am emperor. You are nothing but my husband. Will you go at once? Then he was afraid and went, but he was quite faint, and shivered and shook, and his knees and legs trembled. And a high wind blew over the land, and the clouds flew, and toward evening all grew dark, and the leaves fell from the trees, and the water rose and roared as if it were boiling, and splashed upon the shore. And in the distance he saw ships which were firing guns in distress, pitching and tossing on the waves. And yet in the midst of the sky there was still a small bit of blue, though on every side it was as red as in a heavy storm. So full of despair, he asked, Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, I pray you. My good wife has sent me here against my will. Well, what does she want? Wants to be pope. She is pope already. So he went, and when he got there, he saw what seemed to be a large church surrounded by palaces. He pushed his way through the crowd. However, everything was lighted up with thousands and thousands of candles inside, and his wife was clad in gold. She was sitting on a much higher throne and had three great golden crowns on. And round about her there was much ecclesiastical splendor, and on both sides of her was a row of candles, the largest of which was as tall as the very tallest tower. And there were emperors and kings kissing her shoe. Wife, said the man, and looked attentively at her, you are now pope. Yes, I am now pope. So he stood and looked at her, and it was just as if he was looking at the bright sun. When he had stood looking at her thus for a short time, he said, Ah, wife, if you are pope, do well enough alone. But she was stiff as a post and did not move or show any signs of life. Then he said, Wife, now that you are pope, be satisfied. You cannot become anything greater now. I will consider about that, said the woman. At this they both went to bed, but she was not satisfied, and a greediness let her have no sleep, for she was continually thinking what there was left for her to be. Yeah, he sleeps well. He's serving her. He's running about, but she's the one with the unquiet mind. The man slept well and soundly, but the woman could not fall asleep at all and flung herself from one side to the other the whole night through, unable to call to mind anything else. At length the sun began to rise, and when the woman saw the red of dawn, she sat up in bed and looked at it. And when, through the window, she saw the sun thus rising, she said, Cannot I too order the sun and moon to rise? Husband, she said, poking him in the ribs with her elbow, wake up, go to the flounder, for I wish to be like God is. The man was still half asleep, but he was so horrified that he fell out of bed. He thought he must have heard wrong, and rubbed his eyes and said, Alas, wife, what are you saying? Husband, said she, if I can't order the sun and moon to rise, and have to look on and see the sun and moon rising, I can't bear it. If I can't control everything, if I in this world, I can't bear to see it. I shall not know what it is to have another happy hour unless I can make them rise myself. Yeah, this infant terrible, Tereb. Then she looked at him so terribly that a shudder ran over him and said, Go at once. I wish to be like God. Alas, wife, said the man, falling on his knees before her, the flounder cannot do that. He can make an emperor and a pope. I beseech you, go on as you are and be pope. Then she fell into a rage, and her hair flew wildly about her head, and she cried, I will not endure this. I will not bear it any longer. So he ran like a madman, but outside a great storm was raging. So the the intensity of the disturbance goes from just the sea to the clouds above it to the ships to the land now to the air. Everything, the whole world is tumultuous. And it thundered and lightened. The sea came in with black waves as high as church towers and mountains. Then he cried his ditty to the flounder, for my wife, good Isabel, has sent me here against my will. Well, what does she want then? She wants to be like God. Go to her, and you will find her back again in the dirty pigsty. And there they are, living still at this very time.